something that you would spray or burn to kind of make the place smell nice? Well, I've noticed that there are a lot of people who are talking about fragrance and toxic products in my social media. Now, I think many of them have found this awareness through companies that have multi-level marketing. Some of them are selling oils or cleaning supplies. So, when you get that kind of information, I like to kind of pick and choose. I'm trying to understand it, But Safe Cosmetics Australia, they're a company that has a toxic-free campaign and information on what chemicals are used to create fragrances that are in the products that you wear, use and smell. Amina Kitching is a founder of Safe Cosmetics Australia. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Now, what are fragrances generally made up of?
This is an enormous area of chemical use. Unfortunately, there's up to like 5,000 chemicals that can be used in a single fragrance. So the top offenders, you're probably looking at benzene, phthalates, musk. There's quite an extensive list. It's more to do with basically our chemical legislation allows cosmetic manufacturers to determine what is a fragrance chemical and what isn't. So that means that if they put in their formula and they think it's a fragrance ingredient, they don't have to put on the product label. So there's two aspects here, which one, there's toxic chemicals in it, and the other is the ingredient labelling, and we have no idea what we're putting on our body or breathing in.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's get into what those fragrances are, regardless of whether they're labelled or not.
Yep.
What are some of the types of chemicals that concern you and why?
Look, definitely the top offending chemicals would have to be benzene. It's one that is known to disrupt the cells within the body, and it just causes them to work incorrectly. So people can actually get poisoned from benzene. It's not. There's also the difference between people handling the pure substance and what's actually in the product we have on our shelf. And typically, it's all made to a standard that's considered safe. So it's certainly not a case that it's just not safe to use fragrances for everybody, because that's not true. There's certain people that are more susceptible, and it tends to be people with respiratory issues. It tends to be people that are unwell. Certainly children with more sensitive skin. So look back to what other chemicals are not good. Musk is unfortunately one that's used a lot. That's a more common fragrance ingredient, and that one particularly targets women's reproductive organs. So it's a combination between, are you sensitive to these fragrance ingredients, or are you just concerned you don't want to have those toxic chemicals near you? So people either make the choice or they have to. I'm someone that has had to, because I've got asthma and allergies, which is how I ended up founding this campaign and doing it, because there were just so many products. 9 out of 10 products I couldn't touch. I'd stand in the aisle or pick up a product and my skin would itch. I'd get asthma. So look, we've got 40,000 chemicals available for use in Australia, and it's really up to each brand to formulate to a standard.
Right. So, one of my colleagues earlier, when we were talking about this, mentioned that as she put on perfume, she can't wear it because as soon as she gets it, she'll get a headache.
Yeah.
Is that a common thing that you hear?
Absolutely. It's, you've either got headaches, or you've got people with asthma, or you've got people with skin irritation, hives. I've experienced all of that. So it is very individual, and it's something that consumers just need to be aware of, and particularly if you've got children, people who you're making the decision on their behalf for using a product. I think that's where people really need to be careful and have a think about it. Like, they may not be reacting, but if your child's born with sensitive skin, they may be trying to tell you that. And it's just about reading those ingredient labels and having a look. If you see the word fragrance, you might want to ask a few more questions. What's in that one fragrant, ingredient on the label? Because it can have a huge number of chemicals in there. And there are a lot, like the European market, they have a much higher standard in what they allow into their products than what we have in Australia. So certainly, looking for certified organic products, looking for independently reviewed products, making sure the brand has a good ethics in the way they manufacture. These are all things which, we've been campaigning for over 10 years now. So we've certainly got a lot more brands now available, so there's a lot of choice, which we didn't have 15 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Amina, you're the founder of Sam's Cosmetics Australia. You're running that toxic-free campaign. But, how do you... One of the other things that comes up with this is if you start paying more money for these products, are you more likely to have a better quality or fragrance inside?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing is just having a safe use limit as well. So all of the brands, we review all of their ingredients and we ask questions. Artificial fragrances, they should be restricted to 1% because that's a safe use for sensitive skin. I personally find that works for me. And definitely, a lot of the brands have, no artificial fragrances whatsoever. But again, it's not about what is necessarily good or bad. There's no one statement that covers everybody. But certainly the certified brands, organic brands, they are allowed a certain amount of artificial ingredients in there. And once again, those artificial ingredients can often be safer than natural ingredients because they're made in a lab and they don't react with your skin. But it's just, it's more about identifying what works for you and really looking at the packaging. And it is hard sometimes to work out if a product is suitable or not when you've got, you don't want those fragrances in there. So that's where a certification comes in. And they are not necessarily more expensive. There is so many great products now, like even in the supermarket. And with everybody shopping online, obviously, things are really, I think legislation has to catch up soon and really just make it mandatory to put every ingredient on the website for us because that's another issue. That's now our point of sale. Yeah.
Would websites be the right spot for it? Because some of these packages are quite small, aren't they?
Yeah, look, that's why I think it should be mandatory that we have ingredient labelling put onto the point of sale, which is predominantly now online. In the store, you can pick up the product, you can read the label, you can ask for help. But when you're just at home online, that's where I do believe that looking for somebody that's got, either really straightforward core values on their marketing and preferably someone who's got, independent certifications, that somebody else has checked that and made sure that, it is meeting a certain standard. So it's a lot easier to understand, half a dozen of the best standards out there than it is to understand, 100 million products that are available. So
yeah. I think this is probably a topic for a bit of a lengthier chat.
Yep. It ends up being that way. Yeah.
That one comes in where you've got people who are pushing products and pushing their ideas and scientific information that and then they're kind of taking what that company has told them and then they're telling more people and then they're telling more people.
Yeah.
That's quite an interesting one to try and, unpack as well. Like, where is the line here? Where is the truth?
Yeah, well, transparency, that's what I believe in, and that is, if somebody has, a certification mark on their product, consumers should be able to go to that certification provider and see what their certifications are about. That has to be, straight up, that's got to be accessible. And, really simple, having those ingredients listed on the website at the point of sale. That I can't stress that enough. I really, it's not acceptable that we go onto a website, we have to purchase a product just off the marketing. We need access to that ingredient label. So hopefully, in time that will become something, but it's definitely something that's now, a bit of a problem. So, yeah.
That's an interesting one, isn't it? And
very.
I think each person individually needs to go and do their own research and understand what's going on there. That's the takeaway from this one. Amina Kitching, founder of Sam's Cosmetics Australia. It's been lovely speaking with you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Great.
You're on ABC Radio South Australia. The time is 27 to 11. ABC.